Hello students, hope you all are good. In the digital lecture series, I am Dr. Bhavna Mohite from the Department of Microbiology, Bajaj College of Science, Varda is here for you. In today's class, we will going to see one of the important biological macromolecule, and that is carbohydrates. Particularly, we are going to focus on carbohydrate classification. So before going to start, I welcome you all for this lecture. So we'll see first what is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, these are the most abundant biological macromolecule on the earth. It is synthesized by the photosynthesis process from carbon dioxide and water molecule and forming the cellulose and plant products. It is having an empirical formula, that is CH2ON. So that's why it is also called as hydrates of carbon, and it is for the number of times. Okay, so CH2ON. It is not at always, because many of the time it is also having presence of sulfur or magnesium type of elements associated with it. So but majorly it is basically having this empirical formula, that is CH2ON. Now, how the carbohydrates play an important role in our life. So this is the major dietary staple. This is give you the energy, and along with that, this is works for as structural as well as protective element in the cell wall of bacteria, plant, as well as in connective tissue of animals. It is present in the skeletal joint as lubricants. For cell attachment and recognition also it is going to function, and for cell signaling it is functioning in the form of glycoconjugates. Now we will see how the carbohydrates are having a makeup chemically. So chemically, carbohydrates, these are the group of naturally occurring carbonyl compounds. Carbohydrates are the polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones, or these are the substances which yield on hydrolysis. Means if any compound get hydrolyzed, so if it is yielding you the aldehyde or ketone, so that is been considered as carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are what? Polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketones. Carbohydrates are being also known by another name called as saccharides. So why saccharides? That we'll see. Carbohydrates generally having a solubility in water, and that majorly it will give you the sweet taste, and so that's why it is sugars. And in Greek, the term saccharon, it means sugar, and so that's why the term is given, that is saccharides. Okay, so now it's clear to you that why it is called as a saccharides. Okay, then after seeing this, the nature of carbohydrate importance, we will further move on with the carbohydrate classification. So carbohydrate has been classified based upon what is been the number of sugar molecules which are present. Whether it is having a monosaccharide unit, whether it is a disaccharide unit, whether it is a oligosaccharides, or whether it is a polysaccharides. So based upon what? That whether it is having a 1 sugar molecule, 2 sugar molecule, 2 to 10 sugar molecule, or more than 10 to up to 100 sugar molecules, it is called as monosaccharide, disaccharide, oligosaccharide and polysaccharides. So thing is what? That what is the number of sugar molecule which are present for the chain. This is a representative example: glucose, fructose, galactose for monosaccharide, sucrose, lactose, maltose for disaccharide, raffinose, stachyose, oligosaccharides, and for polysaccharides, starch, glycogen and cellulose. These are the representative examples. So what is the basis of classification of carbohydrate? Its size. Either it is classified as monosaccharide, oligosaccharides or polysaccharide based upon whether it is having which number of sugar residues which are present. Monomer for a single sugar residue, oligosaccharides for 2 to 20 sugar residues, more than 20 it is a polysaccharides. Monosaccharides, these are the simple sugars which is having a single polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketone unit, and the important example is of D-glucose, which is also called as dextrose, which is a 6-carbon sugar. In case of oligosaccharide, it is going to have the 2 to 20 monomers. So from 2 to 20 it ranges. For example, if it is having a 2 monomers, so it is called as a disaccharides. And the example is sucrose. Sucrose, which is composed of D-glucose and D-fructose, so it is having 2 of the monomers get linked with each other forming the disaccharides. In case of polysaccharides, it's having more than 20 monomers. It could be of different type, for example starch and glycogen. So starch, which is having the chain structure, but the glycogen it is having the branch structure. But both of them, these are the energy storage polysaccharides. So now we will see in details these different categories: monosaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. So starting with monosaccharides. Monosaccharides, so it is a simple sugars which cannot be further hydrolyzed. Chemically these are colorless, having crystalline solid nature, solubility in water and non-solubility in non-polar solvents. It is possessing the free aldehyde or ketone group and having the general formula, that is CnH2ON. It is end with the suffix "ose". Ose, like for example glucose, sucrose, fructose, like that. Okay. Now functionally they having the either aldehyde or ketone group. Aldehyde or ketone group, it means the carbonyl group which has been present, either aldehyde or ketone, along with many of the hydroxyl groups that compose the monosaccharides. So where is the positioning of carbonyl group? If it is at the tip, then it is called as a aldose. If it is at any other place, so it is called ketones. So are you getting this one? That carbonyl group is there at the tip, it is aldoses. If it is at any other place, it is ketoses. Okay. Then the major basis of classification for monosaccharide is what is the number of carbon atoms which are present. So whether it's having a 3 carbons, 4 carbons, 5 carbons, 6 carbons, 7 carbons, accordingly they will call 3, 4, this is trioses. If it is 4, then it is tetroses. If it is 5, then it is been pentoses. It is 6, it is hexoses. 7, heptoses, and like that way. Okay. So based upon what is the number of monosaccharide which are present? 3, 4, 5, 6, like based upon that. Then other way of classification is on the basis of what is the functional group present, whether it is having a aldehyde or whether it is having a ketone, means whether it is a aldoses or whether it is a ketoses. So the examples for this category is glucose, fructose, erythrulose, ribulose, and like. And we will see now some of the representative examples with its structure. See this first one. These are the trioses. Now what is trioses? Yes, it is having the 3 carbon compound. So this both of them having 3 carbons. Then what is the difference between these two? That one of them, it is the aldose sugar that is having a carbonyl group at the tip. The other one it's not having, so it is a ketose. So that's why this one is called aldotriose, other is called ketotriose. Okay. And so here it is glyceraldehyde is a aldotriose, and this dihydroxyacetone, it is a ketotriose. The next example is of hexoses. Hexoses for 6 carbon. Okay. One of them again it is having a carbonyl group at the tip, so it is a aldoses. The other one it's not at the tip, so it is the ketoses. So glucose is a aldohexose and fructose is a ketohexose. Okay. Are you getting this one? Glucose is what? Aldohexose and fructose is a ketohexose. Then the next example is of 2 of the pentose component, that is ribose sugar and deoxyribose sugar. So ribose sugar, which is the aldopentose, and this 2 deoxyribose, that is being also aldopentose. Why? Because both of them having the carbonyl groups at the tip. And these are the major components of the nucleic acid, DNA and RNA. So you might have remember DNA for the ribose sugar and RNA for the ribose sugar and DNA for the deoxyribose sugar. Okay. So this is for the monosaccharides. So now we move on with the next category, and that is what? Oligosaccharides. So oligosaccharides are what? Those sugars which yield 2 to 10 molecules of the same or different types of monosaccharide on hydrolysis. Means what? That once the hydrolysis is been done, so it yield you 2 to 10 molecules of monosaccharide, but that may be of same type or that may be of different type. And so as it is having a more than one type of monosaccharide unit, so we need some linkages to link them or to bind them together. So it's get joined by the glycosidic linkages. So based upon what is the number of monosaccharides unit, it is further get classified. Like we say that it is having 2 to 10 monosaccharide unit. So what is the number? Whether it is having 2, 3, 4. So based upon that, it is called as disaccharide, trisaccharide and tetrasaccharides. If the oligosaccharide yielding you 2 molecules of monosaccharide on hydrolysis, it is disaccharide. If yield 3 monosaccharide unit, it is trisaccharide. If yield 4 monosaccharide unit, it is tetrasaccharide. Okay, so what is the thing? That after hydrolysis, what is the number of monosaccharide unit it is being occurs? Whether it is 2 disaccharide, 3 trisaccharide, 4 tetrasaccharide and that way. See this formula for disaccharide, it is CnH2O n-1. For trisaccharide it is CnH2O n-2. Okay. So like that way for tetrasaccharide, how it will be? It is CnH2O n-3. Yes, for tetrasaccharide it will be n-3. See now the examples for each of the category. For disaccharides it includes the sucrose, lactose and maltose, and for trisaccharide it is raffinose and ribinose. Now particularly we are going to focus on the disaccharide type of oligosaccharide. So as the name suggests, disaccharides, these are the one which is consist of 2 monosaccharides units. So once it is get hydrolyzed, it will give you the 2 monosaccharides unit. Now see the condition is what? Whether the monosaccharide unit is of same type or whether it is of different type. Okay. But when we call as that it is more than one type of monosaccharide unit, so forming it together and forming a disaccharide, it should have some linkages. So the linkage which is present, it is glycosidic linkage. So there are 2 types of glycosidic linkage. One is a O-glycosidic linkage, another is a N-glycosidic linkage. So in case of O-glycosidic linkage, it is hydroxyl group which is been going to be there. It is of one sugar get reacted with the anomeric carbon of the other. So that going to form the O-glycosidic linkages. And the glycosidic linkages mostly are get hydrolyzed by the acid treatment, but it could resist the alkali treatment here. Then the next type of linkages is N-glycosidic linkages. So N-glycosidic linkages are formed in case of glycoproteins, in case of nucleic acid or nucleotides. So here in this case, it will going to join the anomeric carbon of a sugar to the nitrogen atoms. So that's why it is called as nitrogen atoms mean it is get binds with the amines. So that's why it is called as the N-glycosidic bond. Okay. So it is about the concept of glycosidic bond. So that going to compose the disaccharides. Now we'll see the example of disaccharide, that is maltose. See now maltose, it is composed of 2 of the sugar residues, and that is alpha D glucose and beta D glucose. So this alpha D glucose and beta D glucose, by the condensation reaction, it is going to have the formation of alpha 1 type of linkages. So here it is alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages. So it is the carbon number 1 get linked with the carbon number 4 of the other sugar residues of one glucose molecule to the other glucose molecule, and that going to form the alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages. So it is a hemiacetyl group is going to get formed. Okay. So here the disaccharide maltose, it is going to form by the condensation reaction between the alpha D glucose and beta D glucose with the alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages. Now we will see some other representative disaccharide with its structure. See the first one, lactose. Lactose is composed of galactose and glucose, and the type of linkage which is present here, it is a beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. It is beta 1,4, carbon number 4 to that of a carbon number 1, and forming this beta 1,4 linkages. Lactose is generally present in the milk and various body secretions. Then the next example is of sucrose. Sucrose is the most abundant disaccharides, and it is been composed of glucose, which is aldose sugar, to that of a fructose, which is a ketose sugar. And the type of linkages which is present here, it is a alpha 1, see here, alpha 1 and beta 2 type of glycosidic linkages. Alpha 1, beta 2 glycosidic linkages. Another point to mention here, particularly for sucrose, that sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. Now what does it mean, non-reducing sugar? So here in this case, that there is no free anomeric carbon. The carbon, it is been complex here with the formation of this linkage, so it's not been free. So when it is do not have the free anomeric carbon, it is called as non-reducing sugar. You could see the other examples all in which the anomeric carbon is it's free. So here in this case it's not free, it is been in this complex, so that's why this has been called as a non-reducing sugar. Then the next example is of trihalones. Trihalones, it is being composed of two of the sugars, that is this is been alpha D glucose paranoiazole, and that is been get linked with the other glucose molecule, and the linkage is present here, it is alpha 1 glycosidic linkage. So trihalose has been a type of disaccharide which is present in the circulating fluid in case of insects. Okay, so this is about the disaccharide category. Now we further move on with the polysaccharides. So polysaccharides are what? Of course, yes, those which is going to have more than 20 monosaccharide unit on hydrolysis. Yes, polysaccharides are also been known by the another name, that is glycans, and those are which is giving you more than 10 monosaccharides unit, and it can be lengthened up to 100 also. So if you measure the length of this chain, so it may going to have 10 to 100 sugar units, or you could say that if it is get hydrolyzed, then it can give you more than 10 molecules of monosaccharides. Now how the polysaccharides are get classified? So polysaccharides are get classified based upon different criteria. First thing, what is the nature of its repeating unit or recurring monosaccharide unit? Then what is the length of their chain? What is the type of bond linking units, and what is the degree of branching? What is it? That what is the identity of their recurring monosaccharide? What is the length of their chain? What is the type of bond linking or bond which is present? And the next one is what is the degree of branching? Okay, like for it could be classified based upon its function, whether they are being carried out in the structural function or whether they are going to carry out the energy storage function. It may also classify based upon that what type of molecule they are going to produce as a result of hydrolysis. Means what? If they get hydrolyzed and giving you the monosaccharide of the same type, then you can call it as a homopolysaccharide. What is it? That if the polysaccharides undergo hydrolysis and give you the same type of monosaccharide, it is called as homopolysaccharides. If it is give you the different type of monosaccharides upon hydrolysis, it is called as heteropolysaccharides. Okay, so see the figure here, that when you call it as a homopolysaccharide, it is of same type of monosaccharide unit. So you could see here the same type of monosaccharide units are there, and which are linked with each other, forming the unbranched structure, that is chain without any branching. And here in this case of branch structure, it is going to have the presence of monosaccharides units get linked with each other, and that going to have the branching also. So that's why this is being a branch homopolysaccharide. In case of heteropolysaccharides, as the name indicates, heteropolysaccharides of different types. Means what? That once it is hydrolyzed, it will give you the monosaccharides of different nature. See, in this case, it's having two monomers of different types. One is in pink color, one is a blue color. So these two monosaccharide units are there, get linked with each other, and thing is what? It is get linked with each other in a chain without any branch. Okay, and so that's why this is a unbranched type of heteropolysaccharides. in comparison with this, if we could see this one, so you could see the different colors here. So it's more than 2. So you could have blue color, you could have green color, you could have pink color. So it is a multiple monomers. These are get linked with each other and also have the branching here. Okay. So it's a different monomers are there, get linked with each other and also going to be form the branching. And so that's why this is being called as heteropolysaccharide, which is of branch type. Getting this one? It is a heteropolysaccharide of branch type. Now we will see the examples of each of this category, homopolysaccharides and heteropolysaccharides. So homopolysaccharides, it comes under 2 functioning. One is just having a structural homopolysaccharide and another is a which works as a energy storage homopolysaccharides. So for this, under the storage homopolysaccharide, the example is of starch, which is present in plant, and the other one is glycogen, which is present in case of animals. While the structural homopolysaccharide, it's composed of either that type of polysaccharides which play a role for giving the structural integrity to the cell, like cellulose or pectin, which is present in case of plants. Now the next category is of heteropolysaccharides. So heteropolysaccharide, as we just discussed, that those which is giving you the monosaccharides of different types. Okay, so it's having the different types of monosaccharides upon hydrolysis. And the examples particularly, it includes the like hyaluronic acid and the type of polysaccharide which compose the bacterial cell. And if you specifically if you see that heteropolysaccharide going to function as a extracellular support. Okay, and the examples, as we say, that is a bacterial cell wall, and the next one is example is of a hyaluronic acid. Even the we can say that for the polysaccharides, like it's been agarose, it has been also composed under the heteropolysaccharides. Okay, so to summarize with this, that homopolysaccharides, it's give you the monosaccharide of the same type, and in case of heteropolysaccharides, it give you the monosaccharides of the different types. Remember one thing, that in case of heteropolysaccharide, it is not always a saccharide unit. So it may going to have the presence of some other portion also. So for example, it may be having the protein along with it. Okay, and so we will see further how the heteropolysaccharides are get further classified. So it is having different types. First one is a proteoglycan, next one is a glycoprotein, another is a glycosaminoglycans. See the first one, proteoglycans. Proteoglycans are also called as a mucopolysaccharide. So what is it having? Proteoglycans. So it is having protein along with repeating polysaccharide unit. What is it? Proteoglycan for protein with a repeating polysaccharide unit. That is called proteoglycan or mucopolysaccharides. The next type is glycoproteins. What is it? Glycoproteins. But here in this case, see, in this case it is a glycan. So glycan for repeating polysaccharide unit. In this case it is a glycoproteins. So protein is there, but here in this case, what is the saccharide position? That saccharide portion, here it is less than 100 saccharide residues. So in proteoglycan, it is a repeating polysaccharide unit, and in case of glycoproteins, it is having a protein and that combines with less than 100 saccharide residue. So that's what is called as a glycoproteins. Okay, and the next type is glycosaminoglycans. Glycosaminoglycans. So it is a proteoglycan with the protein portion removed. Means what is this first category? Proteoglycan. It is composed of what? It is composed of protein with repeating polysaccharide unit. If from this the protein portion is removed from proteoglycan, if protein portion is removed, then what is remaining? That is your glycosaminoglycans. The protein portion is removed, only what is been there, it is a repeating polysaccharide unit, and that we call as glycosaminoglycans. Okay, so here you could see the heteropolysaccharides having the three of the types: proteoglycans, glycoproteins, and glycosaminoglycans. In proteoglycans, it's having a protein with a repeating polysaccharide unit. In glycoprotein, it is having a protein with a less than 100 saccharides unit. And in case of glycosaminoglycan, the protein portion of proteoglycan, it is removed. Only what is remaining here in this? It is a repeating polysaccharide unit. Okay, so you understand this one? That is heteropolysaccharide having three of the types. Okay, now further we move on with the examples of homopolysaccharides. So as we said that homopolysaccharide, it may going to have a different type based upon its function. Whether it will be having the structural type of homopolysaccharide or whether it will having the energy storage polysaccharides. Okay, so we will see the example. For the energy storage function, the examples are starch in case of plants and glycogen in case of animals. If you see the structure of starch here, you could see that glucose molecules are there. These glucose molecules, it is going to be get linked with each other. Okay, just get having a linkage between each other and forming this chain. This chain is also going to have the it's going to have the branching also. Okay, so we could say that starch, it is been a type of branch homopolysaccharide, and here the linkages of for branching, it is 1,4 type of linkages. For the chain, it is been a different type of linkage, that is beta 1,4, and in case of branching, it is having the alpha 1,4 linkages. If you see, it's like for its chain and for its branch structure, so you can call it as amylose and amylopectin. Okay, we'll see in details when we see the structure of different type of polysaccharides in the upcoming lecture. Then the next category is based upon its structural role. Okay, so the examples are cellulose. The next example is of chitin, then pectin. So they are giving the structural integrity to the cell. Okay, you could see here the structure of cellulose. So cellulose, it has been again the important type of polysaccharides which is present in the plants. So cellulose, it is what? It is a linear chain. It does not have a branching. It is a linear chain that is composed of beta 1,4 type of linkages, and this beta 1,4 linkages having the repeating glucose units. So D-glucose units, these are get linked with beta 1,4 type of linkages, and this beta 1,4 type of linkages going to be get formed between the repeating glucose units. Okay, it do not have the branching like that of a starch, like just we have seen this one. So cellulose do not have the type of branching, but it is going to have the beta 1,4 linkages, and that composed with the repeating D-glucose units. Okay, so it's about the representative examples of homopolysaccharides. Now we will move on with the next category, and that is of heteropolysaccharides. So heteropolysaccharides, it's been having the one which particularly give you the different type of monosaccharide unit on hydrolysis. Means it's not been composed of the same type of sugar monosaccharides or sugar residues. So they are different types but linked together forming the heteropolysaccharides. So we have seen the example of bacterial cell wall and hyaluronic acid. So we will see one by one. First one is a bacterial cell wall. So bacterial cell wall, it's composed of alternating unit of beta 1,4 link to monosaccharide unit. Now see here, one of them it is having the N-acetyl glucosamine and the other one is a N-acetylmuramic acid. Okay, see the structure here. So you could see that one of them it is a N-acetylmuramic acid and N-acetyl glucosamine. This repeating unit, one is a N-acetyl glucosamine, another is N-acetylmuramic acid, N-acetyl glucosamine, N-acetylmuramic acid, and like this way it is composed. Along with that, it is having some short residues which has been attached to this in form of chain, and that is been the amino acid residues of alanine, glutamic acid, lysine, and alanine again. So here, so in this case it is going to have the beta 1,4 type of linkages between the two. So alternating the N-acetylglucosamine and N-acetyluramic acid in the form of beta 1,4 linkages, and such type of alternating cross-link of N-acetylglucosamine and N-acetyluramic acid giving the cell a tough structure, and which is not generally easily get cleaved by the action of different type of treatments. Like it is generally get treated by or get hydrolyzed by the hydrolytic enzymes, for example lysozyme. So here it is given the site of cleavage by lysozyme. So lysozyme could act at this particular location of beta 1,4 glycosidic linkages for its breakup. Okay, so this is give you the tough, you can say that, support for the bacterial cell wall. Then the next type of example is of hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid, it is been having the alternating unit of D-glucuronic acid and N-acetylglucosamine. What is it? D-glucuronic acid and N-acetylglucosamine. And here you could see the two different type of linkages. One of them, it is a beta 1,4 linkage, and another is a alpha 1,4 linkage. So beta 1,4 and alpha 1,4 linkage is there in between these two residues of glucuronic acid and N-acetylglucosamine. And remember that this hyaluronic acid, it is being the glycosamine type of heteropolysaccharide that we have previously seen, that in which it is going to have the protein portion is get removed and only the repeating unit of glycan is present, and that is having the presence of glucuronic acid and N-acetylglucosamine get linked with beta 1,4 and alpha 1,4 type of linkages. Okay, so this is two of the representative example of heteropolysaccharides. So students, I hope you have understood this classification of carbohydrate. In just quickly we are going to summarize the today's lecture, that carbohydrates are been classified based upon the what is the number of sugar residue which are present into monosaccharides, disaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. In monosaccharide there is only one sugar residue, in disaccharides having the two sugar residues, oligosaccharides having the two or more sugar residues, and polysaccharides it's having a more than 10 sugar residues, or it may be more up to 100. Okay, and the representative example with its structure we have seen in today's lecture. Okay, so I hope you have understood the basis of classification of carbohydrate with its examples. So thank you students for your patient listening for this lecture, and we will going to soon meet with the other topic in this lecture series. So thank you all of you.